Boys and girls, welcome to the beautiful circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. My name is Stephen Koenig. Glad to have you guys here for round 7 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. And we're in for an absolute blazing time with some incredible drivers putting in some awesome lap times. Luke Addison at the top of the pile at the moment, looking to really get in the momentum with a 2:16.187. Christian Venter running in second place. Henry Mayer up into third. Fourth place is Tariq Adam, Mordrake Larsens, Mac van der Merwe, Henry Platt, along with Vietia Buerta, Bernard Barkhuizen, all trying to push their way through to the sharp end of the field as we get racing. This is going to be a huge run for the drivers, and I do know there's a couple of drivers, a Richard van der Haar that went and joined in. He actually came from Kyalami Racetrack that he finished up the qualifying 30 minutes ago, drove all the way to Bulgaria to just be in his sim rig to be here for round 7. If that is not commitment to the cause, I don't know what will be. So welcome to you all. Welcome to the virtual grandstands. Glad to have you here. We've got Giovanni Porzio going to be having a bit of fun, and well, we've got to get it right, even though he's not on the track. Giovanni going to be having a huge amount of fun as he supports Luke, and he also is going to have a bit to the Sherrits as well. And also, cannot take away from Tariq Adam. Henry Mayer currently running in third place. Christian Venter running in second, trying to gain a bit of time underneath his belt. A couple of drivers really looking to push the boundaries now. 30 cars out on track in our Pro division as they look to really get that bit of momentum on the charge. And let's see how it's going to work out for our drivers. So Henry Mayer in third, Tariq Adam lying in fourth, Mordrake Larsens in fifth place with Bego Krobler chasing him down in sixth. Seventh is Mahath Musa, Michael Schultz running in eighth, Mac van der Merwe in ninth, Henry Platt running in second place, in 10th place. 11th is Vietia Buerta, Bernard Barkhuizen, Jordan Sherritt putting in a time of 2:19.9 while he's trying to get himself all set up and ready to go that they are racing. Well, it's going to be an awesome running. And Giovanni going and taking a little bit on the back seat here. But Gio, we'll see you back very soon. That's for certain. Might not be racing right now, but we will see you back racing once again. It has to happen. It really has to happen. Werner Skuman lying in 14th. 15th, Kieran Patterson. He's looking to try and get a good charge on the way through. So keep an eye on them as they make their way through. Luke Addison taking the top. Tariq Adam in second, Bernard Barkhuizen trying to pick up the pace. Christian Venter 0.1 up on his personal best as he makes his way down towards Rouge. Trying to push it a little bit harder. Brandon Kruger having a great run. He's up into 6th place and really trying to stand on top of the charts as they make their way through. The Spa, very difficult circuit that can either work with you or be that complete bite in the backside on the run through. So drivers are going to be battling their way out on circuit, seeing where they can make their way around and who will be able to take the charging pack order as it goes on. And I want to put out two things though. Big apologies coming in for the Pro-Am stream. Not going to be up this evening, and that is due to my co-commentator having some internet troubles. He does send you his regards, and unfortunately that means that we will not have the Pro-Am stream up, and that will be missing out for the round 7, but should be back up and going for the final round, round 6. That, and also apologies for being a little bit on the later side with a bit of a rush start. Also drove back from Kyalami and had to quickly come running in the door. Big thank you to the missus for going and actually making food, which I'll eat after the broadcast. But this is where it's all going. Anything can happen in the world of sim racing, but the show must go on here in the world of RaceFace.Pro, and much like the show must go on, Cody Sherritt puts a brilliant show with 2:15.5 on the way through, trying to get that little bit more pace underneath him and be a part of the entire drive as everyone marches their way forward on the run through. So great stuff to see Cody Sherritt really stepping up the pace now to be a part of the front running. Luke Addison currently running in second. Tariq Adams losing our position to Bernard Barkhuizen, putting a 2:15.865. Tariq Adams is going to have to try and cut that time because he needs to try and knock off roughly that would be another 0.030 to make it work. So that is going to be a proper run for there. Henry Mayer running in 5th, Christian Fenton 6th, Mildred Claessens in 7th, Gideon Reyna in 8th place, Kerry Van Zyl in 9th. Unfortunately, runs out a bit wide. That's going to cost him time and will be down on this lap. So a few drivers are going and looking forward to putting on some great laps, but there is a couple of drivers battling to get a time on the board. Werner Skuman being one of them, Kieran Patterson, Loic Randall, Paul Fenter, Gerrit Bukes of the Stingers Racing, Darren Miller, Johan Blichnout, and Daniel Rowe haven't put a time on the board. Going, unfortunately, getting track limits, so you can't really get that bit of momentum, and lots of drivers are going to be literally nipping at the bud to go in racing and try and push as hard as they can for the run. So for round 7, it's going to be a close one to see who will be able to take the championship. 15,000 Rand on the line for the prize pool, and all these drivers are going to be battling it out as we finish up with the last 4 minutes of our qualifying. Let's have a quick look at our current standings for the top spot. Luke Addison is on 234 points, with Jordan Sherritt on 227 points in second place. Cody Sherritt on 200 points. Tariq Adams sitting on 176, but we do know he's going to be missing round 8, so unfortunately we'll slip down the order there. Kieran Patterson on 172, along with Henry Mayer on 145, tied with Bernard Barkhuizen on 145, and Christoph Peterson on 143. Giovanni running on 123. Unfortunately, we know he's out of the running. And Werner Skuman on 118. And Werner Skuman are hearing me for some odd reason. I don't know why. I think I'm quite a nice chap, I hope. But the Angry Panda, on the other hand, is going to give it everything he's got to fight it out to get himself into that top 5 of the running pack. So Cody Sherritt has it all on the line here. If he can get a win here tonight, he can get his way a bit closer towards championship. Luke Addison has to keep Jordan Sherritt at bay. So Jordan Sherritt needs to drop out of the top 5 to allow Luke Addison to get the win. Now, we do know that is a bit of a hard task to do, as we see in the climb, but so far in qualifying, we've seen a bit of a swap up through the field as Bernard Barkhuizen makes his way through. He's lying in 3rd, Tariq Adam in 4th, Kieran Patterson now up into 5th place with Henry Mayer, Christian Fenter, Gideon Reyna, Mildred Claessens, Kerry Van Zyl. But going down, well, it doesn't look like Jordan Sherritt has been able to get a good time underneath him. 219.9, and he's lying down in 26th position. So trying to get himself ready for a good run, but unfortunately, no, he's going to just try and straighten out the corner by a substantial amount and give it everything he's got. So this is going to be his flying lap to hope that the car gets ready to the sharp end of the field. But his brother, Cody Sherritt, going and representing the OGs, trying to get that bit of momentum ahead of Luke Addison, and not by much though. Looking at the lap time, Cody Sherritt, a 2:15.587. Luke Addison sitting with a 2:15.847. Bernard Barkhuizen, a 2:15.865. And then Tariq Adam, a 2:15.890. Our top 4 are within under a second of one another and really looking to push as hard as they can to really claw their way up through the order. It's going to be a tough time out there for the drivers. 1 hour and 20 minutes worth of racing, and it is going to be nose to tail the right way through. So it is going to be an exciting time for all the drivers to really move forward in the championships, respectively, whether you're at the back of the pack or you're at the front. Unfortunately, a couple of drivers not getting times on the board. Loic Randall, Darren Miller, Johan Blichnout, and Daniel Rowe are missing times on the board and will be trying to really pick up the pace. Jude Neville, 0.6 of a second up on his last lap time. Christoph Peterson, currently 0.2 up on his personal best, but Tariq Adam is in an opportune moment, 0.3 up fastest around the track. Can he carry it through Blanchemont? He's giving it everything he got, runs out a little bit wide, right to the fringe of the circuit. May have lost a little bit of time there. Bust up is going to be on the anchors. Pull it through. 0.4. Oh, it's going to be close. He is fighting back and forth with Luke Addison on the times here. Tariq, 0.2 up on his personal best, puts him into 3rd, ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen. Luke Addison still holding that second place and now trying to make his way through. Unfortunately, by getting the fastest lap time of the race, well, he tied it. A dead heat tie to Cody Sherritt. And chaps, I just want to point this out. When I say a dead heat tie, a 2-minute 15.587 for both cars as they came across the line. Jordan Sherritt, though, comes across with a 2:15.202 just to really just knock it into touch. But second and third on the same lap set the same lap time, and now are going to be sitting figuring out what on earth do they need to do. For Luke Addison, this is worst case scenario for Jordan Sherritt to be right at the top. And Cody Sherritt is going to give it horns all the way through. He's currently 0.2 up. He is chasing down the likes of Jordan Sherritt to try and move his way up through the order. Christian Fent is going to come across the line. 0.3 up on his lap time. Moves up into 7th position. And even Giovanni, who's one of the drivers that's been around the block more than once, is even going and putting his hands up in the air going, this is not what you get to hear in the world of sim racing, where exact same lap times are set. But that tells you how hard every single one of these drivers, all 30 in the pro splits, are looking to push themselves above and beyond. We have our Pro-Am that's running simultaneously and our Am, with every single one of those drivers giving it everything right to the last minute. It's going to be incredible stuff. Cody Sherritt, 0.3 up on his lap time. He may be able to usurp Jordan Sherritt in this last running bit. Just needs to carry the momentum. Hold on to the brakes, into the bus stop, bring the gearing down, first gear, and you got to really lay into the power of that Ferrari 296 and try make up a bit of time. 0.4, 0.3, and across the line. He's not able to beat that 2:15.202, but he does get a 2:15.235. Luke Addison will have to be comfortable with that third place. Fourth, Tariq Adam. A couple of drivers still out on track. Bago Krubler trying to make a bit of time. He's 0.4 up on his lap time. Going to come across, giving it everything he's got. Can he get into the top 15? He gets himself into the top 10 in 9th position. Mac van der Merwe, 0.1 up on his personal best, will come across the line. Unfortunately, not able to improve. But one person that's going to improve, Darren Miller, 2.6 seconds up on his previous best. And unfortunately, that was a time that did not count. Well, let's see if it counts this time around. Comes across and puts himself into 22nd. Oh boy, I am so glad I made that made it back to the world of Spa after a busy day. But to see an absolutely bang on time where the likes of Cody Sherritt and Luke Addison setting the exact same lap time. Oh, that's just incredible stuff. So, as our drivers get ready to rock and roll, we will be heading down to the grid and getting everyone ready to roll here at Spa. 1 hour and 20 minutes worth of racing. And it's going to be a hard charge all the way through. 30 cars lining up on the line for round 7 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Everything on the line to make it work. Everything on the line to really push your way to the front. Drivers are going to give it their absolute all, and it's going to have to be a very, very clean run down to the pack. So this is going to be a bit of an interesting time for our drivers. Eau Rouge is a difficult corner nonetheless, and they will be going side by side into it. It's going to make life a little bit more interesting. So what are the drivers needing to do now, this precise moment? Getting those tire pressures right, finalizing their fuel, finalizing with their car setup to get themselves ready for the run. They will then start looking at how they're going to warm up the brakes, how they're going to warm up the tires, and also to limit the amount of fuel that's going to get burned on the out lap. You need to try and carry as much as possible all the way through to the end of the race, or try and get as deep into the race as possible. So 2 pit stop times we've seen there will be coming in. So first 10 minutes of the race, well, after 10 minutes, pit lane will open. That will give the drivers 50 seconds to get themselves into the pit, all told. and the last 10 minutes of the race, the pit lane will close. In between that time, they will have to just get themselves into the pits, not once but twice, to get themselves sorted out. But we've also seen track limits last night being a huge factor that started in with drive-through penalties kicking in to really push their way through. So we're in for an absolute treat, but lots of stress. One of the drivers that will be stressing out that was actually Werner Skuman and Bego Krobler, both getting drive-through penalties last night for track limits. So we're going to have to see how it's going to work out as the field starts to pull away. Jordan Sherritt and Cody Sherritt taking the front row. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our grid as they make their way through and go through who is where for the starting of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship Round 7 here at Spa. First place, Jordan Sherritt, followed by Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Tariq Adam on his final race of the season would be this race. So a big shout out to him. And unfortunately, he is going to be missing out round 8, but looking to make an impact here tonight. Bernard Barkhuizen in 5th, 6th place Henry Meyer, Christian Venter, Kieran Patterson, Bego Krobler, along with Gideon Reda. Werner Skuman in 11th place with Mordre Claessens, his teammate, lining up next to him. Christoph Peterson with Daniel Rowe. These two came to blows a little bit earlier on, last week actually, and looking to keep it all together. Jude Neville running in 15th, 16th is Myeth Musa, followed by Kerry Funzel, Brandon Kruger, Mac van der Merwe, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Ian Upton, Darren Miller, Viertia Buerta, Michael Schultz, Paul Fenter, Ferret Bukes, Loic Randabel, Henry Plutt, Jason Farmer, and Johan Blicknote rounding out the pack here tonight. And drivers are going to be taking a huge bit of caution as they make their way through. Brake dragging is going to be a main factor for a lot of these drivers to build up as much heat into the brakes, into the tires, and really get themselves going. For Jordan and Cody, they are going to be running nose to tail with one another, looking to try and make a great start. Luke Addison doesn't want to get caught out in the run with Tariq Adam right on his tail. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, even on the outlap, is right up against the tail of Tariq Adam. He does not want to get left behind here, and he has got his rival right by him, and that is Henry Meyer, the defending champion, who will be giving the crown onwards to the next, and is going to be quite happy about the racing thus far. He's fought it out all season, but now it is going to be down to this. Christian Venter in 7th position. Sadly, Watkins Glen did not work out in Christian Venter's favour, and he was counted as a DNF there, so a driver going to be having to work a little bit harder. Kieran Patterson on his run through, also looking to try and improve. Watkins Glen was not the easiest race for him. He's hoping to just go and take that little bit out and move forward. Gideon Reyna in 9th, and Bego Krobler lying in 10th place with Werner Skuman going to be chasing him down. Now, Werner Skuman, for anyone that doesn't know, is also going to be moving over to iRacing on Tuesdays to have a bit of fun, teaming up with Veynon Kersop, his team of the Pandacity, which is going to be a good bit of fun to see them out on track, but also going to be dividing his time between ACC and the world of iRacing for 2025. So it's going to be a bit of a wild one for many of our drivers, but Jordan Sherritt rounding out here at Blanchmont, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, all nose to tail on one another. Tariq Adams a little bit back, trying to just eye himself out. A bit of an opportunity here, not wanting to go full ball, but Jordan Sherritt trying to back the pack up. Cody Sherritt will be in 2nd place, going to try and also get everyone into a more comfortable spot. Luke Addison hoping to get the drive, but Jordan is way up the road, and Cody's going to have to try and get side by side with him rather quickly here as they stand on the anchors, make their way around the corner. They're going to travel through to the final hairpin, which is up at the top before lights will go green, and we will be racing. This is the most nerve-wracking part of the race. The gentle go at 70 kilometers an hour And you don't want to be at 71 because you will get a penalty, a drive-through coming in as fast as possible. But you don't want to also get caught out at the start being a little too slow. So as they round the hairpin, Jordan Sherritt will dictate the pace as they make their way down. 70 kilometers an hour, side by side, nerves on end. Eau Rouge looking to welcome our drivers as they make their way down. It will be lights on, and we wait for lights off. As it's lights on, lights on, lights on, lights off, and away we go racing here at Spa for round 7, charging their way through. Jordan Sherritt getting an early jump with Cody Sherritt trying to make up some time. And Luke Addison getting forced out a little bit wide as Tariq trying to get on by. A little bit side by side. Bernard Barkhuizen getting a bit squeamish behind Luke Addison. Tariq trying to get defensive. Christian Venter giving up on using road. He's going onto the dirt. Kieran Patterson also hanging in. But it does look like Jason Farmer gets a drive-through penalty. And it does look like Jordan not having an easy time out there. Cody all over the back of him. Luke Addison forcing Tariq Adams out wide. We'll go side by side. And that was Daniel Rowe. Was it Daniel? No, that was Bago Krobler into the wall. And it is carnage. Bernard Barkhuizen, Kieran Patterson having a blow. Mayath Musa going all the way down. It is just a whole lot of cars, unfortunately, looking a bit broken. And Ryan Barrington-Smith a little bit further down. Jason Farmer, Johan Blichnote. And it was Christian Venter that went off into the oblivion. Car 69 not having an easy run for his start of the race. And became a bit of a yellow flag on the way through. So not an easy time for him. He's going to have to really work out what's going to be the charging run. As Werner Skuman is off as well. And now having to rejoin. He's down the order. And very, very broken for the 433 car, and that is not ideal situations for him. Let's quickly try and take a look what's going on. This is Werner Skuman getting pincered. Oh, nowhere to go. And that was unfortunately against one of the hybrid racing cars, smashing the nose to pieces. And for an early start of the race, he's going to have to limp the car around for the first 10 minutes of this race now to just try and pull himself back into the running order. Oh man, that is just absolutely gutting for the start of his race. Jordan Sherritt leading out the pack though with Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Tariq Adam and Henry Mayer, Bernard Barkhuizen, Kieran Patterson, Gideon Renner with Mordred Claessen's going to look around the outside, try and get a little bit more momentum as they claw on back. And it does look like Gideon Renner keeping Mordred at bay. Brandon Kruger getting ahead of Mahath Musa. Daniel Rowe stuck on the outside as Peterson getting bounced between his own teammate Jude Neville and also Daniel Rowe as he's leading on Daniel Rowe, heading into the likes of Eau Rouge. He's able to get on ahead, but now how much of the drive's been compromised? Oh, that's Rowe off. That's Mordred Claessen's off. Mordred Claessen's in Rowe. Lost it at the top of Eau Rouge and are now smashed out. So that is not going to work in their favor. And unfortunately, not an easy time out there for both cars. Number 10 getting caught out. And let's see if we can quickly take a look what happened. He just went out wide, clipped the wall, bounced back, and he nearly across the nose of one of the Aston Martins. And Daniel Rowe, just to add insult to injury, clipping the nose as well as he lost it through Eau Rouge. Oh, no, not quite what you want to see. And unfortunately, I think that was steering damage. He was not able to get the car sorted out, went into the door of Daniel Rowe. A drive-through penalty for Jason Farmer. He's going to have to serve that in the next 3 minutes, so this is going to be a tough time. So, Jordan Sherritt out in front, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, along with Tariq Adam, Henry Mayer, Bernard Barkhuizen, and Kieran Patterson. Gideon Renner, Brandon Kruger, all fighting it out. So the driver that dropped off quite badly there, Mordred Claessen's, along with Christian Venter, lost out a lot of time as well. And it's definitely going to be a tough time as Mahath Musa trying to close up onto the back of Brandon Kruger, who had the likes of Daniel Rowe sweep across his nose with a bit of a problem. And Christoph Peterson running in 11th, Jude Neville, followed by Kerry Fonzel, Darren Miller, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Ian Upton, Paul Venter, a little bit further down, Loic Randall, Kira Bucas, Mac van der Merwe trying to make up some time. Jason Farmer still sporting that drive-through penalty for speeding during the the formation. So he's going to have to get himself sorted out. Mike Viertier-Buerter, Michael Schultz, Jan Blacknote, Henry Platt, A little bit further down, fighting off Christian Venter and a damaged Bego Krobler, trying to limp the car around for another 5 minutes during the course of this race for the pit window to open up. Unfortunately, we have seen the retirements of a couple of cars. Werner Skuman currently in the pits trying to get the car sorted out to get back out onto track. So definitely going to be a tough time out there for our drivers as Myers Musa all over the back of Brandon Kruger chases him up. Eau Rouge and Radion now down the short straight they go. It's going to be nose to tail. The Aston Martin's going to have the legs here, but is in the slipstream is the BMW. Going to go around the outside. Late on the brakes, swings the car around. Couldn't quite go for the undercut. Going to try to go around the outside again, and just not able to carry enough momentum as Brandon Kruger is able to eke out a little bit more ahead. Tariq Adam keeping the pressure onto Luke Addison with Henry Mayer onto the back of him. Loic Randebel getting ahead of Mac van der Merwe. And Kira Buke is a little bit further down, finding out with Jason Farmer. So drivers are really pushing as hard as they can up and down through the order. Mac trying to get any bit of drive. Kira Bukes of Stingers Racing is definitely feeling the sting from Jason Farmer, Viertier Buerta, and Michael Schultz, all in tow with him. And Christian Venter once again sliding on the outside, trying to get up and make up some of that time lost after outbraking himself. So not an easy time out there, and drivers are really having to focus on what needs to be done here tonight. As we see Ryan Barrington-Smith onto the back of Darren Miller, trying to look left, trying to look right, can't really get the drive underneath him just as yet, but is going to wait out an opportunity to try get the drive underneath. Not quite this time, as he's focusing just to follow Darren Miller, not hurt his tires too much, but if he goes on the attack, he needs to make it work. Otherwise, Ian Upton is going to be all over the back of him and looking to try and slam on by. Tariq Adam closing up to Luke Addison, trying to break away from Henry Mayer, who's getting a whole lot of drive right behind the two of them and is about a second off. So the moment you come off the gas, you're in for a world of hurt as Tariq Adam looks for the inside. Couldn't quite go for it as yet. He waits behind Luke Addison, yet another lap coming into play. Johan Blicknote, side-by-side contact with Viertier Buerta. Christian Venter on the outside, taking every gambling move possible to try and make up some time. And hopefully that didn't lose out on his track cuts as Blicknote once again dives up on the inside of Viertier Buerta. Side-to-side contact. And oh no, Viertier Buerta going and landing up across the nose of Christian Venter, and that is going to have Michael Schultz slamming on by, and Venter was nearly a casualty just by pitching up to a fight. Oh man, that's not quite the great. So let's take a look at Viertier Buerta on board, try and see what went wrong. I think that he got a little bit of a shove, got offline, tried coming back, and as he came back, it was just on the nose of the likes of Christian Venter, and unfortunately massive damage to his car. He's having to do a fair amount of work to it. It's not an easy time for him, and I want to go to the helicam just to take a look at it yet again and see. The door was open. Christian tried capitalizing that. Viertier tried to come back, but he stepped off the curb and got clipped on the back, and Christian just arriving there, and unfortunately just one of the casualties of war. Not ideal, not what we want to see, but it's definitely a race that's going to take a few deep breaths to make it happen and get going as car number 69, Christian Venter, into the pits and is waiting it out. So unfortunately, that is not a good sign for the 69 car. And that's, I think, maybe after taking the damage from the start there, he did get the drive all the way through and possibly just decided that the car not too comfortable. Yep, moves out of the way. He's not too comfortable with it. Rather get back to the pits, get it sorted out, and get the car back out on track. So not an easy time for our drivers, and I really, really hope that they can get that car back on track. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the only way to say it. Jordan Sherritt leading out his brother Cody Sherritt as they fight their way through. Tariq Adam has got Luke Addison now behind him. Henry Mayer is on the charge. Bernard Barkes and Kieran Patterson, Killian Rayner onto the back of him. Try to make their way through. And a little bit further down, 17th and 18th, Paul Venter with Loic Randebel trying to push as hard as he can to make up the time. It does look like the Fenter car, unfortunately, retiring from the race. Just a call out to anyone that's got in touch with Fenter. Just give the guy a shout and please tell him, get back on the horse. Just get racing once again. As we do see, this is the Stingers racer. And unfortunately, here at Buick's going and landing up with a problem. And that was heading at the top of Eau Rouge. Got a funny feeling, the rear snapping out underneath him as he reached the top, got over the crest, all lightened up and twisted the car around. So, yep, let's take a look. Eau Rouge got it wrong, a bit sideways too far, clipped the curb, tried to bring it back, nearly saved it. Oh, the snap that went and put him into the wall. A huge impact at the top of Eau Rouge, but he's going to try and limp that car back to the pits nonetheless. So, good to see. He's going to try and give it everything he's got. That's what I want to see. Drivers, even though the worst of the worst has happened, they're still going to try and stick it out to get that car to the end, no matter the cost. They want to see the race finish the way under their own terms, not under others. So Kilian Reina with Kieran Patterson just ahead of him, and Kieran keeping a good charge at the moment. Kilian Reina runs out a bit wide, comes back onto the track, into the slipstream, pulling himself along to see if he can stay in for the fight. Brandon Kruger with Mahath Musa closing up at a rate of knots. Going to try and go late into the anchors. Couldn't quite get the drive. Trying to push a little bit harder yet again and not able to get on by. Kilian Reina trying to look around the outside. Does a little bit of a switchback. Kieran's got the inside. Kieran actually diving to the pits. That fouled up Kilian Reina and Brandon Kruger, Mahath Musa all getting a position there. So Kieran Patterson going with an early pit stop. The pit window is just opened, so get it out of the way, gets himself sorted, and will be out racing yet again, but only with one stop. So he's going to be setting the bar on where the stop is going to be. So looking forward to that. A bit of contact. Oh, Henry Plutt, and that looks to be Bego Krobler coming to blows. Not quite what we wanted to see with the two accidents there. So what on earth was the first one? Here's Henry Plutt trying to make up time. Former Team Tryhard driver racing against former teammate in terms of Bego Krobler in the, well, it was the sister team. Oh, just under braking. Clipped him in the rear. Waited out to try and allow Bego to go by. Bego deciding he's going to go for the pits, and that landed up fouling them both. Loic Randebelt gets a pass on Paul Fenter, but just can't maintain it as Paul now holding the defensive inside line, trying to keep it going. A little bit of a lean on the door there to Loic Randebelt. If you're going to get elbows out, prepare to get elbows out properly, as now Mac van der Merwe closes up that gap and gets ahead of Loic Randebelt as they charge their way through. So a little bit of boisterous racing at the moment, side by side, elbow to elbow, knee to toe, and properly giving it a door-to-door run on the way through. A bit of banger racing, that is for certain. Brandon Kruger with Mahath Musa chasing him down, seeing where they can get a little bit more pace underneath the belt and stay in for the fight. So it's going to be a proper run as the drivers keep up the momentum. Mahath Musa going and closing up. He's in 9th place at the moment, and seeing where it's all going to go for him to try get 8th. He wants to get into that top 5 and get as close as he can. Score valuable points here tonight is what needs to be done for our drivers to really step up the pace and be part of the amazing action out on circuit. So Mahath Musa trying to make up some time, going to go late under the brakes, and Brandon Kruger just holding it as that Aston Martin just creeping out ahead. Mahath Musa deciding he's going to pull a bit of a dummy, gets into the pits. Oh, Darren Miller, all kinds of wrong, comes and sweeps across the nose, and that got a little too close for comfort for some. Let's quickly go to the helicam and take a look what happened to Darren Miller out in the Mustang for the number 91. Trying to carry a lot of momentum. Oh, the tail just snapped out. He drifts it. He saves it. Oh, he clipped the wall. Comes back. Swings it around. Trying to keep the momentum. And Paul Fenter nearly saw his life flash before his eyes right there. And I think that little bit of yellow just went a little bit brown on the way through. So not quite the ideal running. But a couple of cars taking early strain during the course of this race. Mac van der Merwe trying to close up to Paul Venter now, who's got his eyes as wide as saucers on the way through. Maith Musa in the pits, Loke Randabell, Darren Miller, Kieran Patterson, Bagar Krobler, all have gone through the pit lane. Jason Farmer has done his drive-through penalty and has done his pit stop. So he's trying to go and minimize the amount of damage that was done by that drive-through penalty and focus on the charge. Jude Neville onto the back of Christoph Peterson, trying to close up that gap as fast as possible. The two Logistical Nightmare Racing are going to push their way towards the sharp end. Sitting in the top 10 at the moment, but they do have a Kerry van Zyl, who I do want to take my hats off to. Kerry van Zyl, not long ago, the beginning of the season, we'll talk about Kerry van Zyl sitting down in the 25th position, not really anywhere in eye-catching, but now towards the end of the season has really gone and improved and got himself up towards the top 10 fighting contender. So from round 1 to now, it is a great time to see that he's managed to jump up nearly 11 positions in from the start of the season till now. That tells you a bit of a story from the drivers, how they've been trying to step up the game, the contest, the absolute competition of the field, how the caliber of the field can really motivate you to put in that extra hour of work, to get that extra little bit of momentum, find that braking zone, find that work on the car, that little bit of setup that can make it or break it for you. And as we see Mac van der Merwe trying to go and really lay into the brakes on Paul Venter, who does the cutback, sweeps across the nose, getting on the power, and will get the runaway from Mac van der Merwe. At the moment, Mac keeping into the toe. Paul Venter going to keep a defensive inside line. Going to try and lean a little bit to center. Hard on the brakes. Mac van der Merwe is going to try and sweep around the outside. Carry a lot of momentum. And still sitting side by side with Paul Venter as they're making their way to Eau Rouge. This is going to be all out for both of them. Charging their way through side by side. Paul Venter decides, second guessing that one, not wanting to take the risk. Mac van der Merwe keeps his foot absolutely planted and gets the pass done. So great to see some great driving, but also great use of the good old noggin there, not to go and push the boundaries too far in the early stages of the race. Rather try and think of survivability for the start of the race and look towards the end of taking those gambles. No need to go and bang the car right now. Well, Johan Blicknote is going to be a proper one to give Paul a run for his money here. Closes up under braking, looks for the inside apex, couldn't quite go for it. Following all the way through though, the Mustang is quite competent on the brakes and making a good bit of momentum. Oh, Henry Platt into the wall, and that is another yellow flag moment for him. And it does look like that McLaren definitely not pointing straight by the end of that. So he's going to need to do a bit of repair work on his car with Johan Blicknote around the outside, switching back to inside. Can't get the momentum as yet. Paul Venter touching the dirt as they go nose to tail, carrying a lot of momentum through, hard on the anchors, swings the car through, and nope, can't quite get the drivers yet. Looking to try and make any sort of headway at the moment as they battle their way through. Up on the inside, Blicknote trying to get the drive. Paul Venter is going to go side by side with him as they charge their way through the Blanchemont. Is Paul going to be able to creep ahead? He is, but can he carry the momentum? Blicknote has got Michael Schultz now closing up at a rate of knots. So Blicknote looking for the inside, hard on the brakes. Going to have to try and sell a little bit of a dummy here to the likes of Michael Schultz, who closed up under braking and is on the charge between them. So this is going to be a very, very interesting run. Mahath Musa, though, leading out those that have completed their first pit stop and slowly trying to take that climb back through the order. Not going to be an easy run for them. Going to have to start focusing on the charge and see where all the drivers go. So some proper racing coming into play, some very close racing nonetheless, and great to see it on such a busy weekend here in South Africa as well, with a lot of endurance motorsport that's happening at Kyalami Race Circuit. But here at RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship being round 7 and that prize pool of 15,000 Rand on the cards, everyone's looking to give it that one last shot to really get that bit of momentum and try and score as many points before we get to next week, the final round of the championship, and would be the final round, or the final championship of sprint racing and the GT3 championship for 2024, folks. Yep, we've gotten that close to the end. 7th of December, we'll be running a 24-hour ACC endurance race right here at Spa, and we'll be running a 8 hours of Japan on iRacing on that very same day. So it's going to be some great racing, but the drivers right now are considering the factors that they need to really get in to score as many points as Blicknote up on the inside. Huge send on by, and that gets Paul Fenter out and losing a bit of momentum. Oh, Paul Fenter, a little bit of a touch with Michael Schultz. Michael gets on by. Paul Fenter, unfortunately, parked and trying to just rotate the car around. The GT3 a little bit uncomfortable to try and get it to just turn around nice and gently, and it's got a turning circle of a tank, unfortunately. Michael Schultz now trying to close up to the own Blicknote. Out in front though, Jordan Sherritt 1.3 seconds behind Cody Sherritt, Tariq Adam, Luke Addison still sitting in the wings of Tariq, and Henry Mayer running in 5th. 6th place is Bernard Barkes and Kilian Rayner, Brandon Kruger, Christoph Peterson, along with Jude Neville, Kerry Van Zale, Ian Upton, Ryan Barrington Smith, Mac van der Merwe, Johan Blicknote, Michael Schultz, Paul Fenter, Mahath Musa, who's completed the first of his pit stops, followed by Kieran Patterson, Loic Randabel, Bago Krobler, and still in the pits is Henry Platt. Jason Farmer will gain a position, and I do think Darren Miller will also be gaining a position as he charges on by, because Henry Platt still stuck in the pits, and Kerrit Bukes will be also smiling his way up to go and move up through the order. So it's going to be a good time for a good couple of our drivers to just find that little bit of momentum, find that stride, and keep on going. Well, Miller getting the run, trying to make his way through and see where it's going to go as drivers push themselves harder and harder to keep themselves at the top of the pack. As they make their way around the circuit. So far, Darren Miller trying to make up a bit of a recovery drive after his earlier incident. Closest battle out on the circuit is Jordan Sherritt and Cody Sherritt at the moment, but I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here and say they're running a little bit of formation flight for Jordan, Cody, Tariq, Luke, and Henry Mayer, as they just focusing on keeping the tire life going a little bit more. So they're going to try and push into the pit window, roughly about 25 minutes left of the pit window before they get into the pit, serve their first pit stop, and then look towards the last 10 minutes of the race of the pit window to just get it in, get it done, and get going. But the longer you leave it, the less option you have to take a set of tires. Now that will take you roughly about 30 seconds to put on a new set of tires, but when you've also got the likes of adding fuel into it and the incredibly long pit lane, that takes drivers on average 75 seconds from entrance to exit. That is well over a minute to get yourself going on the way through, and does get you stuck in a very nasty situation. Luke Addison though, lost it. Luke has lost it at the top of Eau Rouge. Henry Mayer comes flying on by, and what a bit of momentum there for the driver. Everyone trying to make up a bit of time. Bernard Barkhuizen gets on by, and this is going to hurt Luke Addison in the points. If he can't make up that ground, Gideon Renner's going to have a go at him. So this is going to be a very close run for all the drivers, and even Dean Nokia going and saying this is definitely some great action. But Luke Addison losing at the top of the hill, I do want to see what happened there, because it looked like he came over the top of Radeon, maybe a little bit too far to the left as we've seen earlier, going clipping the curb, got the rear to over rotate, and unfortunately spun him round. He was able to save it out of the wall. Yep, there we go. It lost it at the bottom, or just over the crest. He's spun it round, he's able to bring it back and point it nicely off the racing line, which did help on the run, but definitely not an easy time. Mac van der Merwe also running into a bit of a problem, the number 20 car, as he gets his way going. never, ever have a buyer plus, folks. Not with a cheese puff. Just warning you there. And now that is a Steven PSA announcement. But we see Mac van der Merwe goes and throws himself into the dirt, and unfortunately losing out a few positions there as drivers going and landing up with a few problems. It does look like we do have a few retirements, and one of them actually coming from GT3, who's caught out, and hopefully we can have a chat to GT3 and find out what exactly went and happened with the drive and give us a bit of an insight of what happened. So this is a call out to GT3. I know you're listening, and I know that you tuned in, you're trying to help out your team, but some answers are needing to be had after a bit of a rough time out there. We did see a little bit of contact and landed up with you in the wall. Maybe if you can just have a bit of a chat nonetheless. But taking a look, Luke Addison with Bernard Barkhuizen and Gideon Reyna trying to make up some time. So Luke managing to try and recover some positioning as Bernard Barkhuizen's ahead of him, but Gideon Reyna is trying to close up at a rate of knots behind him. He's sitting about a second off at this point to just try and push himself that little bit further and stay within the fight nonetheless as they claw their way in towards the top. And not going to be an easy time for the drivers to really focus on what needs to be done. So as drivers looking that little bit further, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Ian Upton fighting it out for 12th and 13th position. They've been having a great slobberknocker of a fight, going toe-to-toe with one another, looking to try and open up the door, get a little bit more pace. Ryan Barrington-Smith close to go on to attack, but not close enough to just get that nose in onto the apex to make that pass worth it. And that's the difficulty in this, is you've got to plan your passes strategically without compromising too much time on the way through. So definitely, it's definitely a tough one out there, and it's going to be a bit of a one. So take a look. GT3 unfortunately not going to be joining us. He's going to be in the driver cool-off room for the Martian Racing. Didn't have the easiest time out there. Fair enough, and hopefully a little bit in the future will give us a bit of a chat after he's had a little bit of a cool down, and just to give us a bit of insight of the championship that he's had thus far as we're into round 7 and having a good go. Luke Addison looking around Bernard Barkhuizen, sniffing for any which way to get past, and it is going to be a close run as Luke Addison trying to close up at a rate of knots. Bernard just managing to eke on through late on the brakes. The 720S just eking out the Ferrari, and Luke taking a very tight line through the hairpin is going to have the drive. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to just lean back onto the racing line. He doesn't want to get caught out. He's stuck on the inside, and Luke Addison just giving him the little bit of a gap there, saying, okay buddy, gets a little bit out of shape, bottoming the car out at the top, and now trying to make his way through. So definitely a tough time, and Luke not getting the easiest run through the race. He's going to have to really focus on the charge of what needs to be done at this current point. Well, he dives on the inside, and now it will have Barkhuizen trying to come back at him. Beautiful defense from Barkhuizen, able to bring the cut back, and goes and fights his time out. Well, Luke Addison around the outside, side by side they go. Bernard Barkhuizen on the inside, gonna run him to the fringes, both not giving an inch. Luke goes for the dive, couldn't get past, and Bernard really laying into the back of him to just try and force any which way through. I don't think it's done yet as Bernard looks to the inside. Luke trying to open up that gap, and that's allowed Gideon Reyna to get into the fray as well. And Gideon Reyna not wanting to back out of this is going to keep into the train. Bernard Barkhuizen needs to try and throw a few more punches at Luke Addison to allow Gideon Reyna to get into that train and become a little bit more effective in this race. But it does look like Luke starting to open up the gap, and I think it's more out of desperation just to open that gap of, hang on, that wasn't fun, that was a little bit too close for comfort. And also the drivers are not backing down. They want to race. let's rather just try and check out of this as fast as possible, make up this time, because Luke Harrison needs to get ahead of Henry Mayer and get onto the back of Tariq Adam and Cody Sherritt, as Jordan Sherritt will be opening up a little bit more in the championship if he remains where he is. So the undercut needs to be used, or the overcut in that regard. Gideon Reyna all over the back of Bernard Barkhuizen, watching his mirrors. Two former teammates fighting it out. Bernard Barkhuizen of the KSR factory team, used to be the KSR OG team, versus Gideon Reyna of the Omnis Gaming team. So now they are really trying to force their way in for a great fight. 25 cars left on track. Unfortunately, 5 retirements during the course of this race so far. But if you're going to come to the table, you're going to have to learn to take the punches as they go. And to win big with PokerBet, you're going to have to put it all on the line. And down in the description, you have an opportunity to win for the end of 2024. Head over to PokerBet and go and try your luck. Definitely well worth it. And you can end up winning big with PokerBet on the run. So always a bit of fun to add there. You want to be a part of it. Gideon Reyna onto the back of Bernard Barkhuizen, trying to close up that gap. We're going to go on board with the Ferrari 296, chasing down the McLaren. Very familiar sight, different colors this time around, as we do see the likes of Gideon Reyna running out a little bit wide, misses that second apex, and is fighting his way through. So not an easy time out there for our runners in the field. Bernard Barkhuizen able to make his way through. So Tariq Adam lying in third, is a little bit far back, with Cody Sherritt is sitting in second. Jordan Sherritt out in first. Henry Mayer lying in fourth. Luke Addison in fifth. Sixth place, Bernard Barkhuizen keeping Gideon Reyna at bay. Brandon Kruger in eighth. Ninth is Christoph Peterson, Jude Neville, Kerry van Zale, along with Ryan Barrington-Smith, Ian Upton, Johan Blicknote, Michael Schultz, Mac van der Merwe, Paul Venter, Mahath Musa, Kieran Patterson, Loic Randebel going and fighting his way through. Bago Krobler, Jason Farmer, Darren Miller, Henry Plutt making his way around, and Kira Bukes rounding out our pack at the moment. Gotta say, love to see that he's still out there. He spent a fair amount of time in the pits, Kira Bukes. He spent roughly 215 seconds in the pits after slamming the car into the wall, but still able to get it out on track, really keeping that bit of motivation going. And it's great to see the Stinger Racing not throwing in the towel and wanting to see it through to the end. Always the same thing I say to every driver, and I think it's driven most people insane. Always go and try and see the end. That is the main goal that you need to do. Get it across the line and battle their way through. So it's going to be a proper run. And Barkhuizen with a 2:17.9 on that previous lap. His fastest lap time of 2:17.2, going and trying to hold back Gideon Reyna with that 2:17.732. So definitely quicker on that last lap. And Gideon Reyna has done the best lap time of a 2:16.8. So naturally has got a little bit of a quicker pace. Maybe the Ferrari showing it's a bit stronger here at the World of Spa versus the McLaren. But the trickiest part is you may be the fastest, but you need to go and race as hard as you can right the way through. You need to keep as consistent as you can, and even though you're faster, you've got to find your way past fairly and safely without getting door-to-door contact. You want to leave a bit of room. As per the rules, you need to leave a car's width between the running order. You can't just slam the door on people, and that is always a difficult one, especially in some very close situations like we've seen so far this race, where just an inch is required for cars to come barreling their way through and chase you down and really stay in for the fight. So definitely some tough times for the drivers as they make their way around the circuit, trying to get a little bit more pace underneath them. I see Werner Skuman, unfortunately, also one of our retired cars. He was involved in a huge impact on the start of the race. Mustang, unfortunately, getting very crumpled up, and definitely tough run nonetheless. So it's going to be what's going to happen on the way through. Let's see how it's going to run. So currently, Gideon Reyna, 0.8 of a second. This is our closest battle out on track, as we see Bernard Barkhuizen giving it everything he's got, and just off the rear wing as the flames bellow out the back of the McLaren 720S for the KSR factory team. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to keep ahead of Gideon Renner, who is carrying a lot of momentum at the moment. The questions are starting to come through. Is there any damage onto the McLaren? Well, let's take a quick look. Possibly on the nose, very light, with light damage onto the side on Barkhuizen's car, but I don't think enough to really compromise him too much at this point. But I do think he's starting to take an impact on tires. Nonetheless, that constant defense coming into play. What is that going to mean for his tires going into for the pit stop strategies? Because so far, from 1st to 17th, none of the drivers have gone into the pits. They are still needing to go and get themselves done and dusted to get their first pit stops out of the way. But from the likes of 18th down, everyone has done their first pit stop and is still out there giving it everything they got. But Jason Farmer, on the other hand, is going to serve his final pit stop now. 34 minutes left of the window, and he's going to serve his final pit stop to ensure that it doesn't go and hurt him in the future, as we do see Paul Fenter come on by. So Jason Farmer taking a unique approach for the Griffin Sim Racing team, and going to be trying to figure out what's the next step. Where can they gain that little bit of time and claw back a few positions after a drive-through penalty from the start and landing up with a bit of a rough race. Henry Plutt, though, oh man, lost it at the top of Rouge. He's able to keep a car out of the wall, but now we get to see the McLaren. Just a turning circle of a tank as Mayath Musa comes on by. Man, oh man, they did not make these cars to turn around nicely. They're brilliant, they're very nimble at speed, but when you slow it down, man, oh man, VW Beetle has a better turning circle at this point. Gideon Renner chasing down Bernard Barkhuizen, trying to fight the run all the way through. Bernard lying in 6th place at the moment, and it is going to be a tough time nonetheless. I am pleased to report, though, so far, 43 minutes left of the race to go. Yes, we've had a couple of retirements due to various points of contact and damages to cars, but I originally thought the main factor was going to be landing up with drive-through penalties. Well, we've only seen one of them, and that was to Jason Farmer, who had a slight jump start on the line. So that has been a great run for it all, and has been the only drive-through currently. So yes, we've seen the damages to cars, but we've got to take it off to the drivers. They're flirting with those track limits. It is properly flirting with them, but they are still keeping up enough momentum. Ian Upton and Michael Schultz pulling into the pits, so they're getting done and dusted. Mac van der Merwe going to keep on going, so that's going to keep the challenge up. Paul Fenter, is he going to dive into the pits, or is he going to continue the momentum? No, he dives into the pits. Last time we did see Paul Fenter run the clock a little bit further into the race at Watkins Glen, just because he wanted to try something different. It worked out in his favor. This time round, though, taking a different approach, rather getting himself into the remaining parts, about 30 minutes to go of that pit window, roughly, for the pit stop to get done and dusted, to be part of the running. Oh, Henry Plutt once again getting it all out of shape and pointing the car the wrong way. That's out of Blanchemont, and it would have clipped the dirt. Unfortunately, that number 9 not having an easy time out on circuit. Let's quickly take a look what happened to Henry Plutt as he was making his way through. So hot tires, definitely no grip on the marbles already. That set him up for a world of hurt. Yep, well since gone. He caught the tank slap to keep it out of the wall, fishtailed into the dirt and brought it back. That's killed off the tires, but he's going to try and keep it going. It's too far, way too far the right-hand side and onto the marbles, and just cost him a bit of time. Cody Sherritt into the pits. Tariq Adam into the pits. Jordan Sherritt continuing on. Henry Mayer pulls into the pits. Luke Addison, is he going to dive into the pits to go for a bit of an undercut? No, he's going to go for the overcut here and keep his foot in it. Bernard Barkhuizen going to do exactly the same with Gideon Renner on his tail. Brandon Kruger going to keep on going. Christoph Peterson, is he going to get into the pits? Yes, he is. Jude Neville going to keep on going. Harry van Sale is the next one to come by. And is Harry going to be able to get into the pits? Yes, he is. Ryan Barrington-Smith is next up and chooses not to go into the pits. Johan Blichnout hurt his tires early on Is this going to be the time to get a bit of a switcheroo, get a new set of 6 on? Yep, it is. It's going to be for him. And Mac van der Merwe going to be the next one to possibly dive into the pits. Hard on the anchors, swings the nose through. I'm just giving Nitro trying to make his way through. Nope, he's going to opt to stay out as well. So unique approaches are coming through, and the guys are really having a different idea on the race, where they're wanting to be ultimately out on the circuit. So far then, that is going to be Jordan Sherritt, Luke Addison, Bernard Barkhuizen, Gideon Renner, Brandon Kruger, Jude Neville, and Mac van der Merwe not getting into the pits. They are going to continue a little bit forward, where the only car that has completed all their pit stops is Jason Farmer, making his way through. Kerr Bukes, though, is going to have to get both pit stops done and dusted. He pulled in a bit early for repairs on his car. That didn't count for his pit stop, so he's going to have to do 2 more pit stops there, and that's going to challenge out. Cody Sherritt and Christoph Peterson down to 11th and 12th at the moment. Tariq Adam going and losing out a bit of time, as it does look like Cody is going to come out, standing on the gas, and up through Eau Rouge. Is he going to get out enough pace? Here comes Mahath Musa, going to chase him down. Mahath Musa makes his way around the outside, and no contention there. He was able to get that pass over Cody Sherritt. Tariq Adam exiting the pits, gets himself going. Kieran Patterson back out onto track as he fights his way through. Henry Mayer next out onto the circuit to make a bit of momentum as they stand their way up through the order. So definitely a tough time out there. Drivers focusing on where they need to be, how close towards the front they need to be. And Loke Randall pulling into the pits. Paul Fenter trying to make a bit of a pass on Ian Upton. A quick look on the inside, a snap steer to just try and get the car going. Unfortunately, lost a little bit of time. Immediately pulls into the toe and sees Ian Upton right in front of him as they charge their way through. Paul's going to try possibly at the top of Eau Rouge, just get the little bit of momentum. Slingshot by. He's going to carry. Oh, both getting track limits there. Both going and getting a bit sucked into one another. Paul Fenter going and losing out the time, and Ian Upton getting caught out. And that immediately had Jason Farmer saying, okay, well, I'm blue flagged, but I'm coming up at you guys at an extra 35 kilometers an hour. I need to get past nonetheless. And that was pretty much that. So Paul Fenter getting sucked into the back of Ian Upton, copied the line through and through, landed up, going and missing out. And that would be a track limit warning going to both drivers. Jordan Sherritt now into the pits. Luke Addison and Gideon Renner, Jude Neville and Mac van der Merwe into the pits. Bernard Barkhuizen, Brandon Kruger and Ryan Barrington-Smith still carrying on the momentum here, as 3 drivers needing to still get into the pits to serve their pit stops, and at least one of the pit stops on the way through. So they are really going for a proper overcut here. Cody Sherritt is going to try to look on by as he gets a bit of momentum. Where is the rest of the field? Addison still parked. Sherritt coming out. So Cody is going to be chasing down the likes of Jordan Sherritt, who I think will be able to get out ahead of him as Cody moves his way up through the order, chasing down. And we do see the Mustang accelerating ahead. Jordan Sherritt will maintain his position over Cody, but only just at this point. Cody's going to be trying to make up some time as he does see Gideon Renner making his way through. Quick flash of the lights, and that was actually Loke Randall, apologies, that was letting him on by. Would be a blue flag there. He said, look, not going to argue with you, rather get going, and let's focus on the race at hand. Luke Addison back out on track, with Gideon Renner trying to make up a bit of time as they fight their way through. Bernard Barkhuizen late on the brakes, trying to make his way around the circuit. Jude Neville getting back out onto the track. So Bernard Barkhuizen not going to pit this lap, and Brandon Kruger opting he's going to get into the pits. Now here comes the likes of Ryan Barrington-Smith trying to close up the gap, under braking. It's going to be really late on the anchors. Is he going to dive for the pits to try and undergo the same as Brandon Kruger? Yes, he is. He's going to dive into the pits. So Bernard Barkhuizen will be the solely driver out there, except for the Stinger Racing. Kerr Bukes. No, Kerr's actually served his first pit stop, so he's done and dusted with that. And that means it's only up to 1. Bernard Barkhuizen to just get his pit stop, first one, out of the way to be able to continue with the fight at hand. It's definitely going to be a tough one out there. Myth Musa coming out of the pits, and he will be rejoining circuit at 16th position. Done all his pit stops, and now looks to try and get a little bit of momentum. Kieran Patterson will be chasing him as they make their way through. Ian Upton in the box. Darren Miller going to be more than happy to try and usurp that position away from Ian Upton at this point as they battle their way through. So lots and lots of little thoughts coming in. Who's going to be able to get the advantage in this race? Myers Musa on a steady climb. I don't think he's going to get in with a top 5, but possibly a top 10 is a big advantage here for his way into the points as they fight their way through. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, I feel is playing a little bit of a risky game at the moment. Coming to the table, betting on having the jokers in hand here to be able to really get that full house. But unfortunately, it's a tough call. It's going right down. What is your competitor sitting with? What have they got in their hands? Have they done their pit stops? If they have, yeah, okay, well, that makes a difference. Did they go for a tire stop? Did they go for a fuel stop? Well, I can answer that one. Jordan Sherritt, 32 seconds in the box. That is tires. Cody Sherritt, tires. Tariq Adam, tires. Henry Mayer, tires. Luke Addison, tires. Brandon Kruger, tires. Gideon Rayner, tires. Ryan Barrington-Smith, tires. Jude Neville, tires. Kerry Funzel, tires. I mean, all the drivers have started taking tires, and that tells you that they are getting themselves absolutely prepped for a final push as Gideon Rayner gets past Brandon Kruger, takes a dive, and looking to launch his way up through the order. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, lengthening it out yet again, 24 minutes in the race, well, in the pit window, and he still has to get in the box, not once but twice. That's going to be a double stack. It means if you're adding to it 74, roughly about 74.4 seconds, that is going to be required for just a single run through the pits. So roughly about 75 seconds to get himself in and out is going to be equivalent to 150 seconds. Divide that. It's going to be a rough time. If you divide that, that's 2.5 minutes of pit lane time that needs to be served. So 2.5 minutes. You're banking on a lot to try and pull away. At the moment, he's only 61 minutes, 61 seconds away from Jordan Sherritt. So it's not even a full pit stop. Sherritt is still there within the mix. And even Cody Sherritt's there. Tariq Adam, he'll come out just in front of him. He'll be ahead of Henry Mayer, but it's a tough call. It really is a tough call, and will keep everyone guessing. Kerry Funzel in the 11th has got Ryan Barrington-Smith trying to close down that gap. 1.3 seconds onto the tail. So Kerry Funzel makes his way around the Omnis Gaming Nitro. Pandacity Mustang, the sole Pandacity Mustang left out on track, is properly hammering it through. Ryan Barrington-Smith late on the anchors, getting past the number 9 car of Henry Plutt and getting it all done and dusted as they really make up that little bit of momentum, trying to dial these cars in and ensure they in for the fight. This is going to be the long haul. This is going to be the final one. Considering you're doing 2 minutes, roughly about 2 minutes 20 average lap time for most drivers, you start going to have to look at the time. 32 minutes left of the race, 22 minutes of your pit window left. When are you going to get this in? When are you going to get yourself sorted out? How far are you going to get up through the order? These are all questions that are going to be running through the drivers' heads and ensuring, okay, how are we going to make up this time? What do we need to do? What do we need to focus on at this point to go and stop the loss of positions? Because all that you're doing is you're dragging out more and more and more. For the likes of Miller, Platt, and Bukes, they are going to be hemorrhaging positions at this point as they caught between everyone that has already done their pit stops, and that is going to slow down their run. So Ian Upton at the moment is getting chased down by Loic Randall, and Ian managing just to eke out a little bit ahead, trying to carry a lot of momentum through, with Loic Randall constantly nipping at the heels, starting to scratch away at that time and see where he can get on by. But Ian's going to be undeterred. The Project Vapor driver has done really well thus far under a huge amount of pressure from the back, and he is not too focused on what's happening in the mirrors. He's focusing on what he needs to do to keep that little bit of momentum through the circuit to be sure he can stay in for the fight. And that's one thing many of the drivers tend to get a lot more aggressive in terms of their defense whenever there's a car behind you. As the chasing car, you're expecting, okay, he's going to start moving left to right, he's going to defend, he's going to harden on the inside line, he's going to push me out to the outside, and it becomes a bit deterring when you start seeing they're running the racing line every lap. They're not going for any defensive maneuvers, and it makes you wonder, have they seen me in the mirrors? Am I bugging them? It leaves you questioning and self-doubting yourself, and like Randall right now, losing a little bit of pace up the hill, he went to focus on go and hit the lights of just warning, hey listen, I'm coming. And by doing that, he took himself out of the moment, clipped through Eau Rouge, and got very unsteady, which could have put his car into the wall as well. And that is what the drivers are working with at the moment. Those fine lines where the drivers are needing to figure out, okay, make a climb here, work on here, try and improve here, but at the same time, keep your head in the race. Nonetheless, you don't want to lose your temper. You do want to keep yourself going. Darren Miller leading Jordan Sheridan by and not arguing too much there. Darren Miller, the last of the PWSR cars here in the Pro Division, as De Villiers unfortunately retiring his car during the course of the beginning of the race. So let's take a look. 29 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Bernard Barkhuizen leading out the pack, still needing to do 2 pit stops. Jordan Sherritt out in second place, followed by Cody Sherritt, Tariq Adam, Henry Mayer, Luke Addison, Gideon Renner, along with Brandon Kruger, Christoph Peterson, Jude Neville, Perry Funzel, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Johan Blicknote, Paul Fenter, Mac van der Merwe, Bago Krobler, Mahath Musa, Kieran Patterson is running through. So Mahath Musa, first of those have done all their pit stops. Kieran, second of those. Darren Miller running in 19th, needing to do one more stop. Michael Schultz, Ian Upton, Loic Randwell in 22nd, 23rd, Henry Platt, and he still needs to do one more pit stop. 24th is Jason Farmer, and Hera Bukes still needing to do one more stop for the Stinger Racing, lying in 25th. Paul Fenter defending against Mac van der Merwe at the moment, trying to get a little bit elbows out with Mac van der Merwe, who is going to try and look for those late passes. One thing we do know from Mac van der Merwe, he is not scared to bleed off the brakes a little bit early, allow the car to roll a little bit more into the corner to just keep getting you onto your hind legs all the time, and side-by-side contact with Paul Fenter and Mac van der Merwe as they fight their way through. Mac managing to get on by, Paul and him sharing a little bit of artwork to one another, but nothing too bad. A little bit of rubbing and racing as they fight their way through. Mac van der Merwe going to start opening up that gap a little bit more now and trying to break away from Paul Fenter. Drivers each trying to learn and figure out each of their own unique circumstances that have put them into this situation and figuring out where it's going to go. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, is the one that I'm wondering, when is he going to get into the pits? 17 minutes to go. We do know these cars can get close to the hour mark before needing to pull in the pits. Well, that is exactly what Bernard Barkhuizen is going to do. He's going to keep going that a little bit more until it is absolutely necessary to get it into the pits. Johan Blicknote opting there. He's going to rather take the safer option. He's pitting a little bit later on in the race. We did expect roughly the 20-minute window of our pit window to be there, and we'll see cars pulling in. Well, Blicknote being the first of those to pull into the pits, and this is where it's going to be questioning where the standings are going to drop out, because for Blicknote he needs to keep ahead of Mahath Musa, which has not come the case, and also Kieran Patterson, who's also going to get the pass done and dusted over the likes of Blicknote, as he will stop in his pit box. Musa gets on by. Patterson will get on by as they fight their way through. The drivers hoping to keep some form of momentum on the way through, and it's going to be a hard charge. Luke Addison running at 6th after his spin, finding a hard recovery to pull it back. Gideon Rayner, Brandon Kruger, Christoph Peterson very close to one another and still chasing each other down quite hard on the way through. So it's an outright charge for the drivers to just really figure out the game plan here to ensure they can stay in for the fight as they make their way around the track. Peterson trying to close up to Brandon Kruger, clips the dirt, or clips the curb, gets a bit unsettled. He's able to bring the car back into contention, but that is going to take a little bit of confidence out of the braking zones for him, and you can see it immediately on the bus stop, braking a little bit too late, and the car just going in with a little bit more speed. Couldn't quite get the straight line he needed to close up to Kilian Reina, but it has definitely got that little Honda going and shouting from the wings, hanging on the coattails at this point, looking to try and make his move. Loic Randall fighting it out with Ian Upton, side by side they go. Loic getting the pass done and dusted, and now Ian Upton trying to go for an undercut. Couldn't quite get it done. He did try though, and give him his due for that. Couldn't really get it to stick as he fought his way on through the battle. Close racing nonetheless. Very interesting to see how the drivers are starting to work their way through. Darren Miller going to be fighting out with Michael Schultz at the moment. Darren Miller still needing to do his final pit stop, where Michael Schultz on the other hand has already done his and now looking to carry that bit of momentum on the way through. Going to be a tough call for him, and for Miller this is just going to hemorrhage positions for him, but unfortunately you got to take some form of gamble here, whether it's going to be the undercut to the overcut, and the only way you're going to see it is towards the later stage of the race. Michael Schultz getting into the toe, pulling himself along, going to give it everything he's got with the Porsche, carrying a lot of momentum through as they're looking towards to Blanchemont. Schultz is going to have to get a little bit brave here. Goes around to the outside, cuts back tight inside line, not using all the rumble strip on the right hand side, rather keeping it onto the curb, brings himself back, not wanting to flirt too much with track limits at this point, as he does tighten up right onto the back of Darren Miller, who is keeping himself going. Miller doing a defensive job right now, trying to protect his position as much as possible, and I think that he's going to have to really get onto the anchors. Michael Schultz couldn't quite get that pass sorted, and just in shot is Tariq Adam, our 4th place car, now needs to try and pass these two without losing too much time as well, as he is on the chase to try and get closer to Cody Sherritt and not lose out too much time to Henry Mayer as they make their way through. So Kieran carrying a lot of momentum through Eau Rouge Mustang, showing off its legs a little bit, now getting chased down by Michael Schultz, who's looking at a rate of knots, looks on the inside, pulls himself back a little bit and rather waits it out once again. Keeping it close, but at the same time trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Where can he get on by? Well, the ultimate charge can actually come with this man. Tariq Adam can be that little wrecking ball that you need to just go and pry open a door. Well, it does look like Miller runs out wide. He loses out a bit of time, but he is going to have a little bit of pace into the next. Through No Name they go. Michael Schultz not able to get the drive just as yet, and loses out a bit of a run, as you do see Tariq Adam, and takes the dive on the inside, as we see Darren Miller trying to open the door for Tariq Adam, and suddenly Michael Schultz takes that dive. He sees the opportunity and says, thank you very much, that's what I wanted. Bego Krubler and Mahath Musa also closing up at a rate of knots, doing a fantastic job here. Mahath Musa leading out those that have completed all their pit stops with 12 minutes to go. It is going to be from 1st to 15th, having to scratch their heads at this point, whether it's worth to keep on the defense, whether it's worth to wait that little bit longer, or just try and get the car into the pits, get yourself sorted out, and carry on with the run. With 22 minutes left of the race of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Round 7 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Mahath Musa going to go around the outside defensive. Bego Krubler holding that inside line. Is he going to be brave enough under the brakes? Mahath Musa is going to try and send it, and he does get it past. Bego Krubler moves back into the toe though, and will pull himself along happily at this point to try and break away from Kieran Patterson, who is 7.4 seconds behind. And in the previous shot, we just saw a fraction of that yellow car, the yellow Mustang of Kieran Patterson, trying to fight his way through. So some great racing on there, and drivers having to really figure out what's the options here. How are they going to weigh up the odds on their race, and when are they going to get into the box? There's just so many permutations to this race that can make or break your championship, your entire race, and seeing where you can go by the end of it. It's always a tough time out there to see where it's going to get going once again. Oh boy, it is going to be a real fight and a half for the drivers. And Beggar Krubler trying to close up the gap as much as possible. Will be going and making up a bit of time. Brandon Kruger losing out a bit of time. And he sees Gideon Reyna giving him the position. So Gideon Reyna lost out a bit of time through Eau Rouge, the 55 car. Let's quickly go back and take a look at what happened to get a bit of an understanding and actually jump on board with him as well. As we take a look towards Eau Rouge, clips the curb, gets a little bit unsettled. You can see the rear starting to fishtail, and as he got to the crest, lighten the whole car up. Huge save at the top to keep it in check, but definitely change to the color of his shorts most certainly has been the case for that. Luke Addison onto the back of Henry Mayer. It's only taken a good bit of time to eventually get thus far, but both still needing to get their final pit stop, and now we're under 10 minutes to go of it, where they need to get it done and dusted before the end of the race. How far are you willing to go? The final 2 minutes of the race? Well, with 2 minute 16s, 2 minute 14s, you got to be so careful not to go and push it too far and lose out with that 180 seconds that gets added on at the end for not completing your mandatory pit stop. And we saw what 80 seconds could do last night for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series, where it added an extra 80 seconds for a drive-through penalty that was handed to a driver, unfortunately going and losing from right in the top 10 all the way down to 21st. And that is how quickly life can change out on the circuit. Luke Addison still keeping a great charge against Henry Mayer. Gideon Reyna along with Christoph Peterson trying to close up to Brandon Kruger ahead. And that is one of our closest battles on circuit. Paul Fenter coming out of the pits will come out in 19th position and just ahead of the running battle of Ian Upton going and having a good go with the likes of Luke Randabel on that through. So the two of them having a good go, but Paul Fenter now starting to refocus and think a little bit ahead here. He needs to get ahead of Ian Upton, Luke Randabel, Michael Schultz, Johan Blicknote, Kieran Patterson to be able to get into a fight. And Mahai Musa has really got a gap, a very comfortable gap between himself and Kieran on the run through. Paul Fenter running out wide yet again, having a tough time. And that's Luke Addison swings on by. And it does look like that would be Henry Mayer following suit. So Henry Mayer still hanging in for the fight here, trying to catch up to Luke as much as possible to see if they can be a little bit more effective on the run through. Drivers seeing what's going to be that option, what's going to be that extra little bit for the last little dying moments of the race. You're going to have to think, all right, where am I going to end at the end of this? Where do I want to be at the end of this as they fight their way around? Brandon Kruger keeping up the pace, 18 seconds behind Henry Mayer, but 1.3 seconds ahead of Gideon Reyna, and Christoph Peterson 1.5 seconds back from him. So they are properly leading in for a huge charge at the moment and needing to get a little bit more pace underneath him. Miller coming out of the pits. Ian Upton gets it all wrong, and that was through Blanchemont. Ian Upton through Blanchemont, number 28, not having an easy time out there. Let's quickly go to a helicam though and see what happened. So Luke Addison comes on by, gets that pass done and dusted, and slide out a little bit. Oh, contact. That's rear contact with, would that be who I think it is? That might have been Henry Mayer. They had that rear contact. Was it Henry Mayer, or who would have had that bit of contact with Ian Upton? He was the number 28 car. Wouldn't be the number 9 of Henry Plutz. So would it be the 91? No, that wouldn't even be Miller. So it had to have been Henry Mayer that clipped him. So Henry Mayer, not quite what you want to do, but came around the corner. Not much you can do with the car. Very, very slow. You're turning in and can unsettle if you jump onto the anchors quickly. but not ideally the race that you wanted. And, I know that the team are going to be scratching heads on that one, saying, oh, come on, Henry. Not ideal for your drive and not ideal for the driver to land up getting caught into that as well. Bernard Barkhuizen finally coming into the pits to serve his first pit stop. And with only 5 minutes and 41 seconds to go, remember, a pit stop is going to be 75 seconds. It means he's going to go out yet again, try and get back into the pits when a lap sets you another 2 minutes to go by. It's going to be close. I think Bernard has rolled the dice and it just hasn't ruled out in his favor this time round. He is going to have to really rethink. I mean, to get it back into the pits and get going, he's really needing to try and figure out what needs to be done with the car. He can't do tires before going out. He's tried. He's got new set of tires. He's going for a new set of tires. But a little bit too late there, I think. And it's going to just absolutely cost him. And with looking at the time-wise, there's a horrible little option of losing out a bit of time. So he's got 4.5 minutes to get around the circuit and get back into the pits. He's done a splash and dash though, 7.8. So I don't think he's going to be too much of a threat for our front runners at this point. And still needing to do another stop is going to come in. But where are the cars going to come in? Because so far from first place to 13th are still needing to do their final stop. Bago Krobler in 15th needs to do his final stop. So there's a lot of drivers that are now trying to get that done. Brandon Kruger, Christoph Peterson, and the likes of Kerry Van Zyl all into the pits, trying to get that car sorted out, try and get their cars out and get racing yet again, where the others are kind of running the clock down a little bit close to the chest here. And I think Jordan Sherritt will be diving it into the pits this time round. He wouldn't go that extra lap, and I do think Cody Sherritt would be doing exactly the same. When you start to see that timer running out, you're starting to get a bit closer, and everyone having to really focus on the charge, that bit of momentum. Drive-through penalty, though, coming for the Miller car, and that is track limits exceeded. He's going to have to go and serve that drive-through penalty. Otherwise, 80 seconds added to his time at the end of the race. But there's still tons and tons of time left. He's got 3 laps to serve it. Now I think that's pretty much done and dusted for that. Mac Finnemover coming out of the pits, but Jordan Sherritt going to stay out yet another lap. 2 minutes and 55. He's doing 2 minutes 16s. Yeah, I will be able to make it just. Cody Sherritt is going to also run the clock. Tariq Adam as well. Bernard Barkhuizen. Luke Addison. Is he going to pull into the pits? Bernard Barkhuizen gets into the pits. Luke Addison, though, is going to keep going. Henry Mayer, on the other hand, does dive into the pits. Killian Renner is going to try and make his way around. He's still trying to get to Blanchemont at the moment. And he's got Jude Neville trying to make up some time behind that. So let's see. Killian Renner diving towards pit lane or going to stick out another lap with 2 minutes 10 left on the pit window, and he drives into the pits. So Killian Renner, and looks like a bit of technical difficulties as well, catching him on the way through. So a couple of drivers pulled into the pits, getting their final one done and dusted, and now we'll start to see the times reshuffle yet again. We will see runners trying to push themselves out a little bit more and ensure that they stay in with the fight. Looking at the running pack, though, Jordan Sherritt in first, Cody Sherritt in second, Tariq Adam, Luke Addison, Bernard Barkhuizen, Henry Mayer, along with Killian Renner, Jude Neville, Ryan Berry-Smith, Mac Finnemover, Maeth Musa, Kieran Patterson, Brandon Kruger in 13th. 14th is Christoph Peterson, Kerry Van Zyl, followed by Johan Blicknote, Michael Schultz, Low Granabel, Paul Fenter, and Bago Krobler lying in 20th position. 21st, Jason Palmer, Ian Upton, Henry Plutt, Darren Miller in 24th, and Kerry Bukes running in 25th position at the moment, trying to make up as much time as possible. As you do see Barkhuizen in the pits, May in the pits, Gideon Rayner, along with Jude Neville, Ryan Barrington-Smith, and Mac van der Merwe, all doing their pit stops. Bernard Barkhuizen now coming out of the pits, may have done enough to possibly go for the usurp on this one. We do know that Jordan's going to make it. He's got 47 seconds to get into the box. That's fine. Cody Sherritt also should be able to get it, as he will be coming around the circuit with 36 seconds to the name. Tariq Adams is going to be next up charge here. But has he pushed it a little bit too far? Well, he's going to dive into the pits on the 25-minute mark. Luke Addison is next to come in, and he is held up a little bit. 18, 19, 17, 16. Oh, he's just going to make it absolutely just by the skin of his teeth into the pits. 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End of pit window. If you haven't done it yet, you will be losing out. Cody Sherritt and Jordan Sherritt will be exiting as quick as they can, knowing that they're not wanting to be held up or get caught into an unnecessary fight. Cody Sherritt, Tariq Adam, and Luke Addison are all fighting it out for a great run in the championship. Well, Bernard Barkhuizen, though, has completed all his championship runs, and now going and finishing up with the likes of the pit window. 9 minutes and 25 seconds to go. Drivers hoping that they can push themselves that little bit more. Mac van der Merwe into the pit lane, hopefully during the course of our pit window. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very tough night for him. So, drivers pushing as hard as they can, seeing where they can go. Jordan heading out, Cody Sherritt, Tariq Adam, all heading out of the pits. Luke Addison heading out. Bernard Barkhuizen looking to try and put a little bit more of a sting in it as he comes charging his way through, battling it out at the moment. Can he get enough momentum? And unfortunately, not able to get close enough to Luke Addison as yet. Luke coming out and on the gas as they make their way through the Eau Rouge, and now it's going to be chasing everything and anything at this point. Luke Addison going to have a good go at him for the last remaining 8 minutes and 25 seconds of this race. Round 7 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship, and drivers hoping to get that little bit more momentum. So, Kerry Van Zyl keeping the defense. Ryan Barrington-Smith still coming back at him, looking left, looking right, trying to decide what's it all going to be, where they need to be exactly standing during the course of this race, whether they're going to be down in the pits for the Pandassi team, smiling ear to ear for it, saying, hey, congratulations, or if it's going to be a run of, we lost out to Ryan Barrington-Smith at the end. So many permutations coming in here. Ryan Barrington-Smith trying to close up that gap as fast as possible, with Kerry Van Zyl all over the back of him. Well, Kerry Van Zyl ahead of Ryan Barrington-Smith, and Ryan trying to capitalize on every little moment as he goes and charges his way through. Late on the anchors, looks for the inside line, can't get the pass done and dusted as yet. Going to have to wait it out yet again, as this is one of our closest fights out on circuit, with the drivers able to really make their moves up through the order. So it's going to be a huge, huge run as our drivers make their way through. So it's going to be a challenge for everyone to really battle their way through, and it's going to be a tough time for those to really get that little bit of a battle towards the sharp end of the field. And how far can they go is the very good question, as they make their way on by. Ryan Barrington along with Kerry Van Zyl trying to make up that bit of time. Kerry Van Zyl just trying to stretch his legs at the moment over the Aston Martin that is on the back of him. Two very big burly V8s that have got a lot of power underneath them. They can really step up the gas, but unfortunately it is going to be a huge dive for Ryan Barrington-Smith to try and get that pass done and dusted. Kerry Van Zyl is able to carry a lot of momentum through as they fight their way down to the wire here. Ryan Barrington-Smith not going to yield at this point, but with 6 minutes to go, he's going to have to throw it all, caution to the wind, and try go for the undercut, which he is going to attempt to, and will gear him up down towards Eau Rouge, fighting for an opportunity here to really push that a little bit more. Side by side they go, and it does look like the Mustang of Kerry Fontaine is able to keep ahead of Ryan Barrington-Smith as they go over the curbs through Eau Rouge, keeping it very close on the way through. So far, though, I do want to give a bit of a shout-out. We've only seen 2 drive-through penalties come into play during the entire course of this race, and we're into the last 5 minutes and 25 seconds. One thing that had people saying, we're going to see a lot of it, well, I can officially say we haven't. We really haven't, but I'm sure a lot of drivers are flirting with those track limits right now. They are on the edges of their seat going, right, this is going to be tough. This is where we're going to have to really start planning our moves, thinking a little bit more out of the box here, and gain some valuable time nonetheless. So Ryan Barrington-Smith hoping to claw onto the back of Kerry Fontaine, can't quite get that bit of momentum. So Jordan Sherritt leading out the pack with 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go. Cody Sherritt in second place, Tariq Adam in third, Bernard Barkhuizen in fourth, with Luke Addison chasing him down. Henry Mayer, Maya Thamusa, Kieran Patterson, Brandon Kruger, and Kilian Reyna in our top 10. 11th position, Christoph Peterson, followed by Jude Neville, Kerry Fontaine. Ryan Barrington-Smith is going to have a go at him. Johan Blicknote, followed by Michael Schultz, Loic Randeveld, Paul Fenter, Bego Krobler, and Jason Farmer in 20th position. 21st, Mac van der Merwe, Ian Upton, Henry Platt, Darren Miller, and Kerrit Bukes chasing him down. Drive-through penalty for Mac van der Merwe. Just as I said, we had 2. Well, let's add another one to the pile. Mac van der Merwe going in drive-through penalty due to track limits. Whoa, close racing between Ryan Barrington-Smith and Kerry Fontaine. Blanchmont taking every bit of opportunity to try get on by, and Kerry putting up a sterling defense over the likes of Ryan Barrington-Smith, who's going to be scratching his head at this point. Luke Addison trying to have a look at Bernard Barkhuizen's inside, couldn't get the pass done. Going to have to wait it out. 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go. Now drivers really trying to push themselves out a little bit more. How is this going to work out for them as Luke Addison needs to really dial in the pace? Kilian Reyna, though, gets it out of shape. Reyna loses it at the top. Christoph gets on by. Jude Neville having to take evasive maneuvers. You can see having to really put that car sideways to just try and keep it alive. So this is not turning into a good run for the Omnis Gaming team this time out, as they are losing out a few positions, a few contacts, and now going and having unfortunate run-ins at Eau Rouge this time round. So Bernard Barkhuizen keeping up the defense with Luke Addison all onto the back of him. Luke trying to eye out this opportunity to go on by as Luke Addison really gets on the pressure, seeing where he can go, and off the rear wing of Bernard Barkhuizen as we hear this McLaren come to life, roaring and really trying to keep ahead. You can see Luke Addison starting to close up that gap little by little, trying to see where he can go. Now it's heading towards Blanchmont, absolutely keeping it pinned, and the Ferrari getting the run. Can he go for the pass? He's going to switch around to the outside, late on the anchors, tries to make it work. Couldn't quite get it to stick through bus stop. A little bit of contact between the two, and Barkhuizen stopping it dead on the apex forces Luke Addison into a bit of a misfortunate move there. And now Luke is going to try once again. Luke is going to have to throw hammer and tongs here to get past Barkhuizen. But now Eau Rouge is coming up. This is momentum all the way as they switch to the inside line. Defensive maneuvers through the kink. And now it is going to be gunning it up the hill with the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen trying to stretch the gap a little bit more. Takes a little bit too much curb there. And this is going to allow Luke Addison to have a shot at him. Luke in the middle of the circuit, looking towards possibly the inside. He's waiting his opportunity. Couldn't go to the inside. Barkhuizen walks him out to the fringes. Late on the anchors. And Barkhuizen just holding back Luke enough, killing the drive through the corners, and Luke Addison doing everything he can, but unfortunately he's got a McLaren that's not going to back off the apexes here, as they go and fight their way through. This must be frustrating of note, but Barkhuizen putting on a stellar defense to try and hold that 4th place. Well, Luke Edison back in the tow, going for a pass, goes for the inside, couldn't get it to work. This is going to be Bernard Barkhuizen's opportunity to try and open up a little bit of a gap. He doesn't run out wide. He slowed it down yet again on the apex, and Luke going and clawing, fighting, nipping at the heels, because what this is doing in the championship is taking away all his points in the run. So Jordan is going to get the jump on him and start to claw away at those championship points. Tariq will also be scoring valuable points. Luke Addison will be losing points to Cody Sherritt, as well as we do get word that the leader is on the final lap. So Jordan is on his final lap, but we are staying with this battle till the very end, folks. It's going to be to the bitter end. Bernard Barkhuizen and Luke Addison making their way through. Luke trying for the inside, loses out. Bernard to the middle of the circuit, and it's going to be side by side. Mac for the move with a stop-go, 30-second penalty, and it is this royal sin. And unfortunately, Barkhuizen, no drive to try and fight it out. Luke going to keep him very tight against the corner. Luke going to try and do the switch around, sweeps across the nose, and it's going to be up to Barkhuizen and get on the power. He really does. Side by side they go again, and now it is gunning down towards Eau Rouge. Who's going to give? Who's going to yield? Both going and fighting, both going a bit of contact. Climbs up the hill. Addison misses the corner a bit, and so does the likes of Barkhuizen. But it looks like they have survived that, and now it's going to be Barkhuizen 0.3 of a second to go back at Luke Addison. Mac for the mover with that stop-go 30-second at the end is going to hurt like mad for it, but this is nail-biting to the end for 4th place, folks. Jordan Sherritt, Cody and Tariq long since away from us. They 16 seconds ahead, but if they knew what was happening behind them, this is panic mode. This is frantic, and I can guarantee both drivers are sitting going, oh my heavens, what do we need to do? It's drive-through penalty for Henry Platt as well. So that is definitely a worst nightmare for the two of them. But Luke Addison now starting to open up that gap. 4.4 of a lap. Oh, I mean, this is going to be close. This is going to be down to the wire for the Sens. This is going to have to be a right and royal one, as we do get a bit of word. Paul Fenter and Bego Krobler landed up with a bit of contact, and Paul trying to limp the car around. So unfortunately, the two of them had a bit of contact, but it does look like Luke Addison has opened up that gap to break away from Bernard Barkhuizen. Yes, a little bit of utilizing the penalty system where you can get 3 strikes, but hey, he's got it all at the bag at the moment. Jordan Sherritt gets the win overall. Cody Sherritt will take 2nd place. Tariq Adam will take 3rd for his final race of 2024 here at RaceFace.Pro. Luke Addison will get the 4th away from Bernard Barkhuizen at the end. And I've got to hand it to both drivers. Great racing nonetheless, and a great run. 4th and 5th as they come through. Henry Mayer in 6th, 7th position would be Mahayath Musa, with Kieran Patterson, Brandon Kruger, and Christoph Peterson taking that top 10. Jude Neville will be finishing up a little bit further down, along with Gideon Renner, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Harry Funzel, Johan Blicknote, Michael Schultz, Loic Randebel, Bego Krobler, Paul Fenter going and pulling in the pits. He's done in 19th position. He had a little bit of contact with Bego, so not an easy time for the 42 and the 15. I just quickly want to take a look at that, because there was a bit of a change between the two as they were racing close as well. Paul Fenter in the Aston Martin trying to run a bit ahead, as we do see Bego Krobler takes the dives up on the inside. A little bit of contact between the two there, and Paul Fenter opting not to go and fight out with Bego Krobler on that one, rather going to let it on by. Jason Farmer taking 20th, Ian Upton, Mac van der Merwe, Henry Platt. Remember, Mac van der Merwe, stop go 30-second, that's going to be added to his time. Henry Platt will also get 80 seconds added to his time. Darren Miller in 24th and 25th, Kara Bukes for the Singers Racing. Got it. Well done, guys. Seriously, well done. Despite it all, you guys managed to get it across the line. Always fantastic. This has been a very, very tight run for all the drivers, and definitely a tough time. Mac van der Merwe, 160 seconds added to his time. Oh, and at the end, Mac van der Merwe and the likes of the Omnius Gaming going and having a bit of a collision. Low Crandall at the end. Not quite sure how I'd feel about that one. Having a bit of an argy-bargy at the end. But, you know, it's one of those things that happens out on track. And drivers are going to have to think a little bit clearly on what they need to do for next week for the final round of the championship. Oh boy. This has definitely been a wild, wild race. And if I haven't lost my voice by the end of this week, I don't know what I have done to punish everyone to deal with my voice. But as Tiana Sports has pointed out, what a race. Aiden going and saying that was fantastic. Dean here saying that it was really, really close racing. Passing on the outside, well, off track, not ideal circumstances. That may be reviewed by the stewards, but what we can tell you is that was some really, really good racing on both drivers' parts. Nonetheless, very, very happy with how the drivers managed to pull it back from the brink and be part of the show yet again. So, that being said, we are going to start trying to get our drivers to the interview box and give a bit of a chat to them as they start lining up to get ready to rock and roll for tonight's racing. And it does look like we have got an interview lined up. Now, there's still waiting to come through. Let's bring in our first interview, and it's actually the man that won the entire race. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up. First for Spa taking the checker flag is Jordan Sherritt. Jordan, absolutely phenomenal work out there. Yet again, taking a win and really fighting your way through. What a race. Take us through the moments there, and how do you feel going and winning Spa round 7, done and dusted, and quite possibly gone and taken the championship lead away from Luke at the end of this with one more round to go? Oh, it's a little bit more possible that you're going to be taking the win for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 championship and having that share of 15,000 Rand.
Yeah, it feels good. Good race. Very tough conditions with a very, very cold track. Makes it difficult out there with the tires that are graining, and yeah, my brother kept me quite honest for the first stint. But yeah, I was just keeping it smooth, trying to make any mistakes and trying to get too many track cuts, because Spa, you know, is quite easy for that with the amount of runoff you need to take. So yeah, all good.
It's going to be a proper run nonetheless, and I've got to take my hats off. It just seemed like the Mustang was on rails this evening. How was it out there? You spoke about the track conditions being a bit more challenging. Do you feel that the Mustang managed to take in the conditions that was being thrown and was a bit more favorable, a bit more forgiving compared to the likes of the mid-engines like your Ferraris and your McLarens?
It's so tricky because the Ford has very long gears. You have to rev it out like crazy, right? So when you try to get traction down it and you don't have much grip, it makes it quite difficult. So in that aspect, I guess it's quite tricky, I would say, compared to other cars. But you know, you just got to be smooth on your right foot. So predict what's going to happen. You know, so you kind of drive around the problem. And I think that's what kind of makes it a bit easier. But yeah, it was good. The car was good. The setup felt the same from the start of the stint to the end. So that was great. And yeah, it was good.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, you've taken first here at Spa for round 7. You've launched yourself into the lead of the championship for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Anything you would like to say to our sponsors, to our title sponsor PokerBet, and also to the amazing petrol heads out there that were cheering you on while you were racing around the beautiful track of Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium?
Yeah, obviously without the sponsors, as usual, it wouldn't be possible. To PokerBet and everyone involved, and to you again, as usual, without you and your lovely fast trip back from Kalami, I heard. So you made it. And yeah, whoever was watching, I hope you enjoyed the race. Hopefully it was exciting. And come back for the next one next weekend. Or not next weekend, Thursday.
Yep. Next week, Thursday, is going to be the final round. Jordan, absolutely great stuff. And can't wait to have a chat next week. And hopefully, fingers crossed, all works out in your favor. But in the world of motorsports, you've always got to touch wood just in case.
Yeah, you never know. That's racing.
Well done, Jordan Sherritt, for all the hard work out there. Absolutely incredible, incredible stuff. We're going to bring in second place, though. And you heard him get mentioned by his older brother, Cody Sherritt. Welcome to the commentary box. What a race out there. Let's take through the beginning where it was side by side, 6 cars through Eau Rouge, charging all the way up, and then trying to hit the brakes. I mean, you were piggy in the middle for a long time. During the course of that entire escapade, it was pressure from the start of the race where there was no room to actually breathe. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. I mean, the start, yeah, just important to try hold my line, and I managed to get some slip from Jordan ahead going on the straight, so I managed to keep my position and just tried to nail my braking marker.
Oh, absolutely great stuff. This has definitely gone and helped out the championship a little bit more, which is always great to see. And are you feeling a little bit more comfortable getting into the final round next week?
Yeah, I think the point gap to Luke is like 30 points. So for me to actually get him is gonna require a miracle of some sort. But yeah, I mean, P3 is still good overall for missing one round.
It's absolutely fantastic stuff. And I can tell you that everyone was going and cheering on, going and wishing you all the best, and really looking forward to the racing that was going out there. It's got everyone standing up on the edge of those seats. Anything that you would like to say to our amazing title, sponsor title, PokerBet, and along with our associate sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, and also amazing petrol heads out there in the virtual grandstands, in the cars, and the teams just cheering on from the sidelines.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for sticking around and watching us race, and thanks to the sponsors, PokerBet, for sponsoring this event. And yeah.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, Cody, I can hear you absolutely beat. I can believe the temperature where you are has just gone through the roof during the course of today. Go get some rest. Enjoy the celebrations. You earned it. What a race out there. And have a great one, buddy.
Cool. Thank you.
Always great. Getting to chat to the Sherritt brothers is always great to see the difference between the two and how they act. It always gives you a bit of an understanding and get a bit of an understanding of how they work. The dynamic is always quite great. Well, let's go and bring in our third place. Is a driver that is finishing up the 2024 season here at RaceFace.Pro tonight and scored a major run for his points. Tariq Adam, welcome to the commentary box, and what a race out there, buddy. It just looked like the start of the race was a bit mental of note. Take me through and take the entire crowd through of what happened from when the green lights went and it was game time heading up Eau Rouge.
Yeah, thank you. It was quite a difficult, tricky start. There were like all 4 of us in the mix going up Eau Rouge, and then Barkhazen came from behind and Henry as well. And then I almost died because someone hit Luke into me, and I almost lost the car. So it was a bit sketchy. Someone made it alive, made it through. And then it was the train of Jordan, Cody, Luke, and myself, and we just kind of disappeared and slipstreamed each other. And then then I kind of had a nice run on Luke, and it seemed like he was a bit struggling a little bit at the start. So we kind of agreed to start fight, and I'll just go past with the slip. And then unfortunately he made a bit of a mistake up Eau Rouge behind me and lost the car. So it was a bit unfortunate, but he made it back in the end.
Well, it does help you in the advantage of getting some points over a couple of the drivers. And I'm sure that's one thing that you would like to end up on, is being able to score a few points, being this your last race with the RaceFace.Pro for 2024. I mean, ending it out on a podium, it's always a bit of motivation for the next one. Of come the next season, you're going to throw a little bit more weight into it and be able to take that fight to the top. And also for those that have been sitting on the sideline scratching their head saying, has Tariq lost that little bit of magic? To go and say, no guys, I've managed to end on the podium last night and tonight.
Yeah, hasn't been the best season for me, but I was definitely aiming to get a podium tonight to end it off on the podium. Yeah, just small things throughout the whole season. That's little mistakes that I've made that have affected it, and then obviously just being unlucky at Valencia. So yeah, it hasn't been a great clean season, but yeah, hopefully the next one will be better.
Well, you've made up a huge amount, and seriously, congratulations from it all. It's been really great to see you back out on the track, racing as hard as you can, and being a part of the amazing show here at RaceFace.Pro. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations with all the friends, the families, and before we get to say farewell for your 2024 here at RaceFace.Pro, anything you'd like to say to our title sponsor PokerBet, our associate sponsors of Red Star Raceway, Scallywags Drifting Academy, along with the Extreme Service Center, and all the teams, drivers, and petrol heads out there in the grandstands?
Yeah, thanks to the sponsors for sponsoring the championship and putting an effort into it, and RaceFace and yourself as well for putting on the stream and giving everyone entertainment, all the viewers who are watching, and all the drivers who are participating in actually making racing happening.
Absolutely great stuff, Tariq. Enjoy the festivities. Have a happy new year. And on behalf of everyone here in RaceFace, and please, get everyone in the virtual grandstands, let's just all say a happy 2024 to Tariq Adam. We'll see you for the next one, and virtual hug, Tariq.
Hug to you too, I guess.
Go and enjoy the celebrations. Well done indeed. How to make a person uncomfortable, just go and offer a hug. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does bring us to the end of our absolute amazing broadcast. Round 7 done and dusted in the review mirrors, and we are going to be taking a look to the racing up ahead and see all that's going on. Next week, we're going to be having a bit of fun. We're going to be showing a bit of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series iRacing Pro-Am division. That will be going out on the Tuesday. Don't miss that. It was some great racing, great to commentate on. It was pre-recorded, but man, oh man, you got to be part of it as watching it as it was happening, same as you all are going to be able to watch it as it's happening and get the general feedback of what it was. Just incredible to see it. And then also next week, we're ending off the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series on Wednesday, 10 past 8. Please be there, be part of the action, share the celebrations, be a part of it all. And on Thursday, 10 past 8, we're going to be rounding off the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Going to be a great one. 7th of December, we have got 2 endurances running at the same time, and it's going to be the likes of our 24-hour endurance race here at RaceFace.Pro at Spa. Entries are still open for that, and 8 hours of Japan on iRacing. Feel free to join that. Entries are still open for the guys to have a bit of fun. It's going to be a great season end, and it's going to be a great one. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to have to call it adieu. I'm going to bid you all adieu for this evening. As going to be out at Kyalami. Feel free to come on by, tune in as well for the 3 hours of Kyalami tomorrow, 9 hours of Kyalami on Saturday, and at the same time, I'm going to be racing in a 24-hour with the team heaped together in the Britcar 24. It's a busy weekend, but we'll see you all next week, and hopefully voice will still be there. But like always, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and leave a like. Let us know what your favorite part of the battle was out on track, and we'll see you next time. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at RaceFace.Pro. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet for all the tournaments, for all the cash games, daily free rolls, and sports betting. There's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. If you're looking to upgrade your car or make sure it's running slick and smooth, go and head over to Extreme Service Center to get you that full mile across the race line, or whether you're going good in your dash. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from the THT Productions.